like to call to order the meeting of the Carson City Regional Transportation Commission. It is 5:15. It is Tuesday, August 16th. We are in the Sierra Room at the Carson City Community Center. Please note that we may take items out of order. We may combine two or more items for consideration, and/or we may remove an item from the agenda or delay discussion to an item on the agenda at any time. Kathy, can we have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Bonkowski. Here. Vice Chairperson Smolinski. Commissioner Kroll. Here. Commissioner Kimbrough. Here. Commissioner Zentino. Quorum is present.
Thank you, Kathy. Next item on the agenda is item 2 for public comment. Is there any member of the public here that would like to speak on any item within the authority of the RTC tonight? I see nobody walking forward, so we will move on to item number 3, approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes? If so, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. It passes unanimously. We're now on item 4, public meeting items. Item 4A for possible action to determine that Titan Electrical Contracting, Inc. is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder pursuant to NRS Chapter 338 and to award contract number 1516-128 Carson City Flashing Yellow Turn Signals 2016 upgrades for $413,043 plus a 10% contingency amount of up to $41,304.30 for a total not to exceed amount of $454,347.30 to be funded from the RTC fund as provided in fiscal year 2017 budget. Patrick?
Thank you. As this project is several years in the making, I'm very happy to have it before you this evening. This project will provide for safety and Americans with Disabilities Act improvements at 2 intersections in Carson City. One intersection is Carson and Winnie, and the other is Roop and Robinson. These signal systems are of an older design, and they do not have. Not only do they not operate at the same design as other ones, they also do not have what we call the flashing yellow arrow, which is a feature that has been implemented at multiple intersections in Carson City. Design is one factor why we selected these several years ago. We also did evaluate, particularly in the case of the intersection of Carson and Winnie, we evaluated with NDOT as part of a high crash review location. We found that even with the decreasing levels of traffic volumes on Carson Street that we had seen after the freeway was extended, we did not see a commensurate decrease in traffic incidents there. So we're very happy to be going forward with this. They're also providing funding for ADA improvements at the corners. This is a more extensive rehabilitation of the signal. It's not an entirely new system, but there will be new poles installed at selected locations, which is quite an undertaking. We actually had the bid for this prior to our previous RTC meeting last month. It was over estimate. We reviewed that estimate with the Nevada Department of Transportation, who is providing federal safety funds for this. After review by both our engineering staff and NDOT staff, they believe that the bid, while higher than expected, was not out of line for the current market conditions for the work that's being provided. And NDOT backed up their dedication to this project by providing additional funds through an amendment to an agreement with us to help minimize the cost to the city. It's going to, should this be approved, it's going to take a few weeks before it gets started, as they have to get all the equipment in place, but we do expect it to be completed during this calendar year. I will take any questions.
Any questions from the commissioners? I see none. Is there any public comment on this item? I see no public comment, so I will bring this back to the commission and entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion. I move to determine that Titan Electrical Contracting, Inc. is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder pursuant to NRS Chapter 338 and to award contract number 1516-128 Carson City Flashing Yellow Turn Signals 2016 upgrades for $413,000 $43 plus a 10% contingency amount of up to $41,304.30 for a total not to exceed amount of $454,347.30 to be funded from the RTC fund as provided in the fiscal year 2017 budget.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Passes unanimously, and we are on to item 4B. To determine that Intermountain Slurry Seal, Inc. is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder pursuant to NRS Chapter 338, and to award contract number 1617-032, 2016 long line striping program for a base bid of $162,224, plus a 10% contingency amount of up to $16,222.40 for a total not to exceed amount of $178,446.40 to be funded from the Property Services Long Line Striping account as provided in the fiscal year 2017 budget. Patrick.
Thank you very much. This is a contract that we award annually. We did have two bids. One was close to the estimated cost. One was significantly higher. The lower of the two bids that we are recommending be awarded this evening is a company that's done business with us in the past. We do have a contingency for this. However, while we don't expect to use it all, I will note that there are variations each year. And just as an example, if we have a road that was recently reconstructed and striped, this contractor will not be doing that, for example. But on the other side, there are several roads where we have received requests in the last year to add long line striping, and we will add those as well. And we expect it to, approximately be a wash, but we do have a contingency should it be necessary.
Any questions from the commissioners?
Let me, Patrick, that bids from that other company is like almost double in some of their per items. Is that common for something simple as a striping contract with a?
It happens. That's not a company that we've done significant business with previously. So I do admit that the other one does have the knowledge of what they've done in the past. So they have that going for them when they're preparing their bid.
Are there any additional questions? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing no public comment, I will bring this back to the commission and entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion. I move to determine that Intermountain Slurry Seal, Inc. is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder pursuant to NRS Chapter 338 and to award contract number 1617-032, 2016 Long Line Striping Program for base bid of $162,224, plus a 10% contingency amount of up to $16,222.40 for a total not to exceed amount of $178,446.40 to be funded from the Property Services Long Line Striping account as provided in the fiscal year 2017 budget.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. It passes unanimously. We are on to item 4C, traffic meeting update for the meeting held Thursday, July 28th. Patrick?
Yes, thank you very much. We once again had a good turnout for the traffic meeting held at the end of July. We appreciate the participation of all the folks that are there and some members of the public that joined us as well. Brief recap, we discussed projects that are going on in the community, progress that's being made, actions by in this time period, RTC, CAMPO, and Board of Supervisors that are impacting roads and road maintenance in the city. That was followed by a presentation by Dr. Eli Haj, professor from the University of Nevada in pavement management. He provided a good overview of pavement management systems, how they work, and how specifically they are being applied here in Carson City and the advantages of using those. He also provided information about the current condition of the roads and the forecast condition of the street system in about 10 years. should we be, should we use the additional, if we only have the available funds that are available to us today as we go forward, unfortunately, the forecast is for a decline in the quality of our roadways, the condition of our roadways. Even if the prioritization of projects is done with the best engineering practices available today to people like himself, a professor of pavement management engineering, unfortunately, the revenues are insufficient to maintain our roads at their current level or to improve them. And then I discussed with the group potential uses of available funds, actually during this fiscal year, because we have awarded these projects that have been before you the last couple of months. We do now know that we do have some available funds that could potentially be used during this year. There are obviously options for the use of those funds, not only different roads, but different types of projects as well. For example, roads and sidewalks and safety projects. We discussed that with them. At our next meeting, which is next week, Thursday, August 25th, we're going to discuss that further, the use of funds this fiscal year, and also to talk about prioritization for future years and the allocation of resources among the competing demands that we have before us. I will note that we are looking to change the location for next week's meeting to this room. We're hoping to find a way to fit a group of that size in here for what we plan to use, and we will notify people as appropriate. And then also as a heads up, the September meeting, when traffic meeting is regularly held, we are planning on scheduling the kickoff meeting for the South Carson Street corridor study. It's a complete streets conceptual study. We were planning on scheduling that for September 22nd, and there will be public notice about that as well. And we're going to be asking the traffic members to come to that public open house about that significant study rather than holding a regular traffic meeting like we have the 3 months prior. With that, I'll take any questions.
Do we have any questions from the commissioners? Any public comment on this item? This was an information-only item, so thank you, Patrick. We are now on to item 5, internal communications and administrative matters. Item 5A, street operations activity report.
I'm not going to go over all these. It's the standard. We do a lot of crack sealing, potholes, signs. There's an impressive number of requests for simple things like trimming tree branches, but when they're blocking stop signs, it's critical we go out there and take care of it. We are getting a lot of requests through the Carson City Connect system, which we very much appreciate. We like that for tracking purposes and to get the feedback from our citizens. And we are getting a significant number of requests to repair sidewalks as well, and our staff is working hard to keep up with those as best they can.
Go ahead, Bob.
There was a project to seal Lampa Street that goes in front of the Catholic Church. Is that Lampa that does that?
Yes, that is correct.
What type of process was used for that sealing?
Yes.
I'm getting concerned. I get questions about it's a rough road there now, so why don't you talk a little bit about whether or not that'll smooth out over time or not? So.
Yes, I'd be happy to. Lampa Lane is a road. The portion that was treated is between Carmine, just north of Carmine, where the newer pavement ends, all the way up to College Parkway. The work was done on June 4th and 11th, and the process that was used is called a cape seal. We have traditionally in Carson City over the last decade or so, we've used many slurry seals and micropaving, which is black in color when it's complete. There are some differences between those two. A cape seal is actually a micropaving as well, but there is an additional layer that is applied. The first layer that was applied is called a chip seal, and in a chip seal, the black asphaltic material is put down, and rock is actually placed down on top of it. When it's done, it's almost white in color. That can be done as a standalone project. In our case, when you combine a chip seal on June 4th, and then you go over it on June 11th with a micropave, the combination of the two creates what's called a cape seal, which is obviously better than the two together because the aggregate actually meshes together. Now, having said that, we've gotten a few calls as well, Mr. Mayor. The expectation when people see a road that's black, I used to know a company that their motto was, the blacker the road, the smoother the ride. This road was very black when we were done with it. But admittedly, the ride is not very smooth. The road itself was in very poor condition. You've seen maps before from us, from our pavement management system. There were a lot of very poor to failing portions of that road. Ideally, we would reconstruct that road, but it's a couple $1 million investment. So the method that was used was one that we realized would not result in a very smooth ride, but we thought would buy us at least several years in the hopes that we'd be able to find the funds to actually reconstruct it as it should be. Unfortunately, it's not just the pavement; there are drainage issues there as well. So while we don't disagree with the people that are driving on it, that it's not as smooth as they would hope or would like. When it looks that black, we have explained to several folks that is a relatively inexpensive Band-Aid to keep that road going until we can afford reconstruction.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It also came to my attention from the father at St. Teresa Church that we closed the road on Lampa to do the striping, and we closed it on a Sunday. Did that happen?
No, was that back in June?
Yeah, I mean, when we striped the road, we closed it on a Sunday.
Yeah, but you're referring to a couple of months ago, not
Yeah.
this week, right?
Takes a while for them to get to me here, but they got to me.
Well, sometimes they get to you very quickly, sir. Yeah, I'd have to talk to the construction management folks. Honestly, I've received calls about the roughness as you have, but I've not received a call about the Sunday. Indeed, we did the chip seal on one Saturday on purpose to avoid traffic as best we could. We did the micro as well. Whether or not they striped on June 12th, which is Sunday, I'd have to check with our inspector.
Yeah, well, the church is a good city partner, I mean. No, absolutely. Yeah.
And we were certainly, doing the actual treatment on a Saturday to avoid impacts.
And I drove Oak Ridge Drive the other day. You did some wide crack sealing, and I thought that was done very well. Now, maybe it's just me, but I think, it seemed to be a pretty good ride on Oak Ridge from the wide crack, because there were some terribly wide cracks on Oak Ridge, so thanks.
Patrick, a big thank you, but I was confused. Last night I was at Open Space Meeting and thanked Ann Bollinger for fixing the trailhead up at Kings Canyon. And that's long overdue from parking along the roadway there. The pavement's all blown out, and it's really difficult for smaller cars to even park in there. So it's all DG'd and really nice and pretty, and I just see you guys have it on your worksheet. So Ann might be making a call to you because I'm giving her all this credit to Parks and Rec, and she had no clue. But thank you for doing that. That's a major parking area, and I'm sure Mr. Stokes up there is probably pretty excited about that too, actually. So just one more area where you're out getting things done in the community here. I thank you for that. And also, I didn't make a point. I went to the, whatever your acronym is, traffic or however you call it. And I thought you did a really good job as a facilitator in that and playing a leadership role with that community with such a mix of people and giving everybody a chance to speak. There was never any situation where somebody isn't given that chance in that group. So I think you did a good job. And I enjoyed the speakers, one of the main reason I went there. So thank you.
Yeah, and let me follow up on that. Patrick gave a speech on the roads to the Rotary Club here last week, I think it was. Very well done. I mean, it was professionally done. Didn't cut an edge one way or the other, just was the facts. And it was well done.
Thank you.
Good job, Patrick. You're still not getting a raise.
I've heard that before.
All right, so we're now moving on to item 5B, project status report. Can you take us through that, Patrick?
Yes, sir. The Carson City Freeway multi-use path, they were somewhere between 60 and 90% design. There was a very small, not right-of-way acquisition, just a access easement issue that they were working to work out so they could move forward, but I think they're in good shape. The Y crack repair project, that'll be gone now. We just got the completion memo a couple of days ago. So, and indeed, it has been very well received, Mr. Mayor. I do want to remind people that while there are, I'm sure, a few more cracks around town that would justify that, that's not an appropriate approach for every distress that we have out there. Unfortunately, we had some folks approach us and say, could you do that in my neighborhood? And unfortunately, their roads were not the type of distress that would help, but we're glad we went where we did. The flashing yellow arrow intersection improvements was awarded this evening. Very happy about that. Airport Road reconstruction just south of Highway 50. I went on leave for a few days and I came back and they were 90% done. I was out there again today, just as a few cones off to the side. So not only is it there, it was done very quickly. We really appreciate that to minimize the impacts on neighboring businesses. College Parkway Research Way intersection, they're going to begin construction, last word on September 26th. This is unfortunately just after the completion of a major event there, the biggest one of the year. I can assure you that we have had a planning meeting already for that special event. That's the 22nd through 25th, and we've worked out a different traffic control plan this time. And we've reviewed it with not only our planning and permitting section, but fire, sheriff, and the event organizer were all there as well. The significant difference is that while the streets will be open, the businesses will be open, we are actually going to install a temporary median there on College Parkway to prevent people from making the more dangerous movements, which are the through north-south and the left turns. You're still going to go to the event and still be able, there's a signal at Gonai that's very helpful and much safer to operate through. And next year we'll have that signal. The citywide patching project is proceeding along. I think we're probably past the halfway point here. We've been primarily on arterial streets, arterial and collector streets, including Carson Street, Roop Street, Silver Sage. We did have one local street that was in a condition that we went and took care of, but I think we're back on the arterials and collectors now. The Gonai Road, Conveyor Drive project, that also was that actually paved, once again intentionally, the Saturday before last. I came back from the leave and found them up there paving. I was impressed. There's some concrete curing over on Conveyor, and I think a little bit of drainage issue on the west side of Gonai, but for the most part, those are in good shape. Appian Way just got underway. I guess it was last week, Monday. They're doing from California to Bigelow. They are, I also checked that out earlier today. They're focusing on the western portion first so that they can reduce the time that Silver Sage is impacted there with the intersection with Appian. But we're also looking forward to that proceeding. Contractor's eager to move forward with that. The 5th Street Loop at Riverview Park at the east end. Last I heard they're paving this week. The concrete work is all done, so that one doesn't have much further to go. The traffic line markings we awarded, long line was awarded this evening. And I'll just add that these are all the significant ones that, the ones that the RTC has awarded. There are a couple that are underneath the threshold that require us to bring it to the RTC, just to point out to you, that are also proceeding. There's a shouldering job that's being done on Arrowhead right now, and then it's going to do some work on Fairview. And we also just, we had quotes. We don't have to do a bidding process for RTC, but we opened quotes on a sidewalk project that's going to knock out some really bad sidewalk on Winnie Lane, just east of Mountain Street. That's not going to start until October, and once again, it's under the threshold of which we bring here, but I want to point it out to you when you see it. And I'll take any questions.
Any questions? No questions. Future agenda items, item 5C.
None at the moment, sir. We'll see what we do, and we look forward to the traffic meeting next week.
Thank you, Patrick. We're on to item number 6, board comments. Have any reports or comments from the commissioners? I see none, so we're on to item 7, last chance for public comment. Is there any member of the public that would like to comment at this time? I see nobody stepping forward. We are on item 8, adjournment for possible action. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you.